Hi everyone, this is just a little video I wanted to make for a while on how I use Threadloop to plan. It's supposed to be a bit more of a show and not tell, but I will have to do a fair bit of telling. And this isn't explicitly like a feature review or anything, but I think I do use most features of Threadloop. So hopefully by seeing my planning methodology, you can see some of the neat little features that are hidden around. There's a lot of community things on Threadloop as well, but I'm just doing planning, so we're going straight into projects. First up, collections is the first thing that really matters. So I use this as kind of like a Kanban board, but it's modified a bit for sewing and just what works for me. So my working collection is, I guess, kind of like my current sprint. It's the projects that I'm working on now or I cut out in a batch. So I'll do a whole set here. I used to do just one project at a time, but I will do 1 to 4 now. But they're kind of related to each other and I do not move on from them until they're done. Next up is queue. So these are ones that I'm pretty well committed to. Sometimes I'll move them in and out, but for the most part I'm dead set on them, either because I've got all of the fabrics and things and they're ready to sew, or I just really love the idea. So this is my queue. Next up, I've got 2 collections. I divide mine into autumn, winter, and spring, summer. I just found that was kind of the best in between. So if I just had one big ideas collection, there was just too many. I would just get overwhelmed by the amount of things I put in here. And then if I divide it into each 4 seasons, then that's too refined and I'd get very confused about, do I put this in spring or summer or winter or autumn or what? So doing it this way I found is a bit of a compromise that works better for me. There's still a lot of projects where it could be either, but what I do then is I just dump it into the current. So right now in the Southern Hemisphere it is winter, so autumn winter is my current. I do also want to mention that my autumn winter spring summer here isn't actually that strict to the months, so I do my autumn winters about May to September, which is basically just the weather where I have to wear layers, and my spring summer is October to April-ish, where I can't really wear layers. So that's kind of how I try to get my mindset to change, because I usually find that by the end of that seasonal layering consideration, I'm really in the mood for it, like I'm in the mode of inspiration, but I can't continue to wear those. So this helps me try to shift gears, and also means that when I get those cool ideas, I can dump it into the collection and feel safe that that idea is not going to get lost. So that just helps me a bit. And inspo often doesn't have much in it. This is more or less ideas that don't have a project, really. They don't have a pattern, they don't have a fabric. Sometimes they're just details that I thought was cool, and I would like to do that sometime. I don't review this a great deal, but this is when I just want to save something. Like if I want to hit save on Pinterest or on Instagram, it usually goes here because it's not fleshed out at all. Very quick jump in with a cut here. I forgot to mention my year. So the 2025 is just where I put completed projects. When they're done, I put them in here. This is in chronological order. I do also have, I wanted to bring this up because it's another feature, I do also have one for every year going back. I've just got the old ones hidden, so I can show those if I want. But this allows me to hide projects that I don't really want to see, but I still want to have them. Alright, so the other thing I want to go over, like I said, I do want to show, but there's going to be a bit of talking, is the different statuses. So there's, in Threadloop, you've got idea, which goes to queued, ready to sew, in progress, paused, abandoned, completed. These ones are all pretty self-explanatory. The first 3, idea, queued, and ready to sew, I use alongside my collections as part of the Kanban thing. So I use idea as kind of just when I capture a cool idea, which I guess is what it's called. So it might just be an image, which usually goes into inspo down here, or it might be a pattern I like, or it might be a fabric I want to use, and then I'll usually drop it into the appropriate season, or the current season if it's very flexible. Then next up is queued. So queued is pretty cool, like keen to do it. I'm not 100% committed, but I'm pretty close. I'm mostly committed. I've got either pattern and a fabric, or I just really love the idea. At the queued stage, I would usually start putting a shopping list in there so that I can, next time I go out shopping, I can actually go through and view all of that. And then finally, ready to sew means it's functionally ready to go. I used to use this to mean I've cut it out and it's ready to go, but I cut out just before I sew, so I ended up using the ready to sew status for like 2 days, and it was a bit of a waste. So now I use it more to mean I've got all of the bits and pieces. I can start cutting and sewing. Maybe I'm missing buttons or something that I can just go quickly duck out to get, but for the most part, everything's shopped. All right, so the first part of my, I guess, backlog grooming for this is I look at my queue. So I'll go through all of these, make sure that everything's updated. So make sure I've got all my to buys and to dos. I've got a kit for this one, so I'm pretty confident I've got everything for that. For example, this beret, I don't actually know what I'm doing with it. I just want to use up some remnants. So I've actually got a to-do to check the remnant size and verify that. But it doesn't need anything. I click through it. Supplies, I need Petersham ribbon, fusible interfacing, veiling, and velvet ribbon for the bow. The only thing there I really need is Petersham ribbon, so I'll put that in my to buy. And then generally, I'll dump all of the supplies required into here, even if I know I've got them. So I do actually have Petersham ribbon, but by doing this process, I can put this into here. So I've got that, and I like to dye it. I've even got some dyed. So I put both of those here as a note, and since I've got them in the notions now, I tick it off my buy list. Now I did have a queue for our, where did it go? Detachable collar. Yeah. Why did I not see that? It's in autumn, winter, not queued. Okay, so I do definitely want to make this. I just wasn't sure of the patterns, and I had, as you can see, lots and lots of candidates. I actually think that I'm going to use this as an excuse to try some more charm patterns, because I didn't realize, but the Stanwick bodice is actually designed to be a removable collar. I think that's super cool, and I'm actually going to put that into these details so that other people do not miss that. I'll go through and put more design details. This is just early access sort of thing for now, and that also has the dagger collar. So I don't like the idea of these detachable collars that just sit like necklaces. I think that would annoy me. So I want one that actually tucks in a little bit and maybe has buttons or snaps or something, but I do want it to be usable with lots of different garments that aren't necessarily designed for it, so hopefully just tucking in is enough. But yeah, so I wanted to kind of do that, and I think using the leftover of this wool is a good opportunity. Then again, cotton lawn, I don't think that one, it's a bit too not black, unless I had leftover of that. So I don't need to narrow this down completely, because the collar part I think is going to be more or less a remnant usage. But if I'm going to make a whole Stanwick, which I think is a good opportunity, then alright, but I will check the images. So bodice fabric, really not much, but that's because it doesn't have a skirt, but I can kind of guess it. So I reckon a meter-ish. Let's go to my project. I want to do a black collar because that's what I actually need. And if I'm going to do a black collar, then let's see if I can find a fabric for the actual dress to go with it. So let's hide my lingerie fabric, my fusibles, my remnants, my interfacing. Let's do a length of about, let's say, a meter. And ideally I think woven, but I'm not going to limit it just at this stage. That would be really cute with white. And there is the dagger collar, so maybe I can actually do them both. Okay, so what if I did the broderie and glaze? Oh no, this would be a good one, because then I can actually do the black collar for that. That's a good idea. I do have that down for some other projects though. That could be cute, but they're just dresses. It's all the same energy. So let's add it to here. And since I'm kind of making this a whole, let's do Stanwick and collar. Make this a dress project, an accessory, yeah. Now I would also like to do the dagger collar for it in white, so I can maybe choose that elsewhere. I could do that with the broderie and glaze, but that'll be if this goes well. Maybe I will split the dagger collar out into a different project, and let's Stanwick dagger dress. Let's call it dagger Stanwick. Let's go dress and accessory again. I don't know if I will actually do the dress for this, but this is just for now. I'll call that just an idea because I do want to see how the other collar goes first. We'll put it into autumn winter, it could go anywhere. And just tentatively, I really like that sample with the lace. I do have some laces, but I think most of them are spoken for. Although that one is spoken for with that dress I'm not dead set on anymore, so I'll put that down just tentatively. Let's do the broderie and glaze. And my white poplin for the collar. And I will just make a note that this will be for the collar. It could even be for underlining with the... Oh, that might make it a bit too crisp. And I'll just set that one as the main because I think that's more likely. So, alright, let's go back to projects. So let's put that up here. Decued. Now I think against that linen, well, that the lawn is going to be most likely, but I can pretty much just cut that out right at the end. So let's take that away. And I'm going to probably flesh this out a bit more than I usually would for a backlog groom, just to show some examples of how I would do this for a new project, like when I actually put it into my working. But since I'm still working on 2 projects right now, I'm not going to do that in earnest. I'll just do this one as an example. So we need 8 buttons, and that's it. Okie dokie. So 8 buttons. What are the buttons for? It's actually for the collar. 8 buttons. Or snaps. Because I think snaps is a good chance. Good opportunity for that. And then I do have the files down here as well. So this is a plus thing. I've even got the dagger collar there apparently. So I'm just going to open that quickly to just look at the size chart. So I have got a, do I even remember? I know my bust, but I don't remember my high bust. My high bust is 80.5, so my high bust is going to be, let's round down to 4, and that's 84.5, so it's 4 BC to, let's say C or D. Let's see what the finished measurements are. I think that's probably good, 87 centimeters for this type. Okay, so I'm going to say a 4 BC, but I'm not dead set. This is just making notes. So if I go back to my project, I'm going to say a 4 BC. Adjustments, I will definitely need to do some size blending actually. So, sorry, I'll bring that back up. The waist, I have got a size 6 waist, and I like it to be a bit loose. That might be okay, so size 6. So adjustment, let's say blend to size 6 waist. I will need to do some more adjustments, but I will not put those down until I have actually figured it out. So this is where I'm going to use the preset tasks. I've got a lot for prep and then sewing and then also my post-project wrap-up. I like to put them in groups, so I don't drop all of these in now. I'm actually just going to put in the prep ones. Buy supplies, I do have supplies to buy. Paper adjustments and all of that, so I'm going to just add those in. And then when I actually start it, I'll add in the rest, the cutting ones and then the sewing ones, etc. And this just makes sure I don't have too many on my to-do list at a time, that it gets overwhelming. Okay, so now the reason that I'm putting all of these checklists in isn't just for fun, it is so I go onto my lists, and the next time I'm shopping, probably online, I've actually got them here under their respective statuses easily. So these will be my highest required ones because I'm going to sew them soon, or I should sew them soon because I have a good opportunity. Queued will be next because I actually quite like them, but they all need a little bit of something. And then ideas, I probably won't be shopping for that anytime soon, but if something jumps out at me and I see, say, some rayon that I really like, I can come here, see how much rayons I've got, like, oh, the cutout collar blouse, I do like that. Maybe I can make that, so I'll buy the rayon, I'll know how much to buy, because I've got it here, 2.2, and then I can pop this up into Qt and I can add the fabric straight in, so my fabrics are no longer orphaned, and when I buy something, they actually have a project to go with them. So that's the plan. And my to-dos are kind of similar, so when I'm not actively sewing and I'm preparing everything, I get to have my ready-to-sews all together. Now, if I was in the mood for it, I might also groom these. For example, I don't think I'm into this anymore. This is just a cool idea. I would like to put on pretty much any v-neck. Maybe I should try to find a candidate of a v-neck that's got, say, a tie-up already, and then I can just put the buttonholes, put it through. I don't know how good I'll be able to find that right now, but let's try. So let's look for tops. I'll even put in, so this data there's not a great deal of. Woven. So I don't know if the design details is going to give back a lot of candidates, but I'll put it in there. Have I got everything? Body type feminine. Alright. And then what if I do there a tie neck or a pussy tie closure? What about the pussy bow? Yeah, I didn't think that would come up. That's alright, I'll do it more manually, which is how I usually do it. My measurements, and I'm going to search tie. And about bow, and then after that, yeah, see, this sort of thing basically. So that doesn't fit me, but that's exactly what I'm looking for. I have lost my, there you go, that's why. But that'll do it too. That's even a little scarf, how cute's that? Alright, let's put that as a possible into tie neck. There you go. Because it's just a basic blouse. I just like that tie idea. And that is actually, what pattern did I choose? It's got long sleeves. I could make that autumn winter. I'm likely to actually tuck that in, so I don't know if I will do the elastic waist, but yeah, let's pop that as still an idea, but it can go into autumn winter now. That is my backlog groomed for now.